This is slightly minor from the other two. The other two are contractual, which will serve a business. But just changes to job description. So have you all got job descriptions? Some long, some short. And at the end it will say any other reasonable request. And we used to laugh about it. But what it means, it is a reasonable request. So I've got 3 examples there. An IT manager temporarily moving to assist the marketing team, that's perfectly reasonable. Office-based, we need you to go in there to cover because we've got 3 members of staff off. So that line of, well, I don't do that, I work in IT. Well, forget about that, we need to move you around. Delivery driver to work in a warehousing role would be reasonable. He's out driving his truck all day, but you say we need you to come in the warehouse and drive a forklift, or we need you to just be a banksman, or something like that. Asking an apprentice chemical engineer to become a toilet cleaner would not be deemed as reasonable. Yeah, he might deal with chemical engineering, but he doesn't want to be dealing with what's been blocking the toilet for the last 6 weeks. And the word apprentice would usually mean that person's younger, so that would be seen as bullying, really. So just be careful about asking people to do things that they're not really familiar with. But you have got the flexibility. Right, so they're the 3 kind of key things, really, that will, over the next few weeks, they will save businesses. Just having the contract with a variation of terms, understanding how to lay staff off. You don't have to lay all your staff off. You can be selective, you can lay a few off. You could jump straight for redundancy, but it's all about the process. Get the process wrong, you will be in tribunal. The tribunal numbers in the autumn of this year are going to absolutely soar. Sarah, who's payroll manager here, sent me an email last night from a friend of hers, and she'd basically been sent an email at her place of work in recruitment saying, following the conversation that we've had, we're going to lay you off. She hasn't signed a contract, hasn't got a layoff policy, hasn't got anything, but the company seem to think they can exercise a right, and they can't. It's a breach of your statutory rights. So if they've got 20 staff who are being laid off, all 20 could bring a group action now and say that that's unfair dismissal, it's constructive dismissal. That'll sit in a pile, that's forever going like that. And come August, September, that'll be addressed by a judge at some point in tribunal to say, yeah, you've got to claim the process wasn't correct. So that's the danger. There's a lot of people doing things, trying to save the business, trying to keep their head above water, but they're doing it wrong. The intention's right and the outcome will be the same, but they're getting the process wrong. It's all about the process. I put this one in before the schools closed. We knew they were closing. A lot of people are going to come with flexible working requests as of today. A lot did yesterday. Our advice line in Manchester has just been ridiculous. I've been set up to take calls via that through our VoIP system. And one of the key things yesterday was flexible working. Anybody with 26-week service can apply. Everybody has a right to apply. Yeah. Has anybody dealt with a flexible working request before? Yeah. You don't have to give it. That's the thing. There are conditions around that. If the child is disabled and things like that, then you must bow to a flexible working request. You have to consider it. That's your legal obligations to consider the request. The request must be in writing, and you must give a decision within 3 months. A lot of people just used to ignore that 3 months bit, but I think at the minute it's key. So I could put a flexible working request in. My employer's got 12, 13 weeks, to really decide whether or not to give me it. By that point, you can see what's changed. You have to consider, and you must either accept or refuse. And if you do refuse, you must give a business reason. Can anybody think of a good business reason at the minute to refuse flexible working? We're about to go bust because the world's come to a standstill. It stands up. So that's the perfectly reasonable reason not to give it. You can only make 1 application per year. And if refused, they can appeal it. So anybody who's going to make the initial decision, make sure there's somebody higher above them who can hear the appeal. Otherwise, that chain of command's lost. And if they don't like the outcome, they can go to the tribunal and say, I wasn't given flexible working because, and we'll come to that in the discrimination section. So just be ready for them. There's going to be an absolute flood of them coming, especially over next week when the reality bites of people being at home. Like I say, I might have to put one in. I've had 1 day off sick in 8 years. And all of a sudden I might be going to my employer saying, can I have a flexible working request? I can only work between 9 and 5 because I've got 3 kids to look after. And he'll laugh me out of town. Yeah, initially, and then he'll think about it and think, oh yeah, because your wife's had to go and become a carer.
What about the flexibility on the other side? Like, I've just had a manager, I have to go deal with it in a minute in one of my businesses, that's phoned in and said, I'm self-isolated from now on because I've got 2 kids.
They can. Yeah. This is where we've got a problem. So they'll self-isolate, you'll get paid SSP for 2 weeks. That's all right. The big area on that, and I didn't cover that off, is if you've got workers who earn just above £118 a week, the qualifying period. So if you earn £120 a week, there's no disincentive for you to sit at home for 2 weeks with your kids and then come back to work for 2 weeks and then go off for another 2 weeks and then come back to work for 2 weeks and go off again because you're being paid that SSP from day one. So previously the first 3 days were unpaid, so that was a deterrent to stop people doing it. I hear it all the time, school gates, well, I'm just going to ring in sick, I get paid from day one. And you just think, yeah, but your employee's having to pick that up. You know, I see from both sides, obviously. But with that, you can't really touch you. And there's going to be so much leniency towards employees because of what's going on. You can't really question it. You can't question the absence anywhere. But there's going to be this gold-plated kind of ring-fenced coronavirus. And that's just going to become the stock answer for anybody doing whatever they want at work for the next 3-4 months.
Terrible, isn't it?
Yeah, the ones who abuse it are,
Yeah.
because the ones who genuinely need it get pulled in with the same bunch. So just be ready for flexible working. Right, these are the issues that I envisage. You know, obviously I look at the bigger picture. I've done HR all my life, so I've seen everything through recession coming back out. Staff with a track record of multiple sickness will abuse the SSP from day one. There you go, Patrick. You were one slide ahead of me. So they will abuse the day one offering. You know, that's the reality. That is a fact. So just be aware of that. Low morale could prevent a swift and effective recovery. So at the minute, everybody's kind of down here. I'm a lot more positive as of today than I was last Friday, just from the businesses I've seen this week. One guy in Glasgow, little restaurant, and he said, we've got money in the bank to pay the staff for 3 months. He said, we're going to lay them off, but we're going to pay them full wage for 3 months. Team of about 7 or 8. I said, right, okay. I said, it's generous. He said, we can afford to do it. He says, my rateable value is about 31 grand. I said, right. He said, well, we've heard that you're going to be able to borrow up to your rateable value, and it's going to be about 1%. His words don't matter. I don't know what the figures are. He said, we're going to take the 31 grand and have a full refurb. He said, come the back end of the summer, I'm going to have one of the best restaurants in Glasgow. And I'm sat there like, wow, paying your staff, having a refurb, and you're going to come out kicking and screaming and making sure everything. I just thought, you know, you need a few more of them. I'm hearing it off other people. I had one guy saying he's going to borrow the money to do his kitchen at home. You know, make your own mind up on that one. But I think personally the country is going to be absolutely awash with money from about 2 weeks' time because they're having to put so much in. And the difference this time to the recession is all the money that went into the banks that we didn't see a single penny of. This time it's going into business. You know, the banks are fine because they made them ring fence what they had. So if you think of all those billions and billions that we used to prop up RBS, things like that, that's coming to you, Patrick, if you want it.
Trying to get it though. I want to get a piece of it, yeah.
Yeah.
That's our intention.
Yeah. Everybody, it would be daft not to if it's 1% and it's government backed. The banks will be throwing it at you because they know they get it back.
Our intention is to coax one of the roses.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. And I think, you know, I think we will. I really do. I think we'll lose some natural wastage. There'll be a few that are just unlucky that we'll lose. But I think the general consensus is because we're going into it kind of like that, it'll come out like that. Whereas, like I say, with the recession, it just kind of went like that for years and years and years. So it's a very different prospect. These are the ones that you really need to look out for. So yeah, you're looking at layoffs, you're looking at redundancies, some people are. But what you need to be really careful on, things start to go missing now. Because people are in that mindset, well, they're going to go bust down there, they're about to lay me off. That laptop's been sat there for about a month, I better take it home for safekeeping. I was at the Premier Inn Wednesday night, and I was one of 2 people staying there. It's near Falkirk, 2 rooms. I went to the bar at 9 o'clock, and it was shut, another Brewers Fair thing. She said, oh, we've shut early. I was like, all right. I said, well, I want a glass of wine. So she went, oh, well, my card machine's off. I said, right. I said, well, I've only got a tenner. So she went and got me a bottle of wine, took me 10. She went, oh, that'll do. We're getting laid off tomorrow. Now, I'm sure the head of Whitbread doesn't want to hear that, PLC. But that's their mindset. Getting laid off, sod it. Give us a tenner. That'll have gone in her pocket, I can guarantee it. So all of a sudden within that, now 1 bottle of wine there, I know it seems trivial. Stationery cupboard still stocked, but the company's about to go bust. Oh, my kids would love those post-it notes. Costs money, costs you money. It is still theft. But, you know, that could even be vans, it's tools, it's everything. Right down, you know, the full picture. People just think, well, if the company's going into administration or it's going bust or I'm getting laid off, I want a bit of the action. I want something I can take in the cash converters on Saturday. And that is, you know, they're not everybody, thankfully, but there is a percentage of people within your employment who will think like that. Be aware of it. Negative approach to clients, like you say, Patrick, you're coming out with this kicking and screaming, smelling the roses. You know, we're all going to have a whale of a time. But if your staff who are selling your goods to anybody who comes in says, oh, we're going bust next week, straight, you can see how it just drives the business down. People then go and tell people it's going bust, and you're like, well, it's not. They don't know the reality. And the social media thing as well, that's kicked off already. I've had to deal with issues where people have got on social media saying it's a matter of days before the company goes bust. And it couldn't be further from the truth. But that's their mindset. And to be fair, it's because they hadn't been informed of what was going on. So they make their own minds up. You know, they panic, start thinking about it. Tonight is the night. Be like I say, a lot of people laid off. A lot of people go to Asda. If they can find any booze on the shelves, they'll buy it. They'll go home, they'll have a good drink, and then all of a sudden the Facebook comments start about 11 p.m. because we always pick them up on a Saturday morning. And it's people who've had one too many. There should be a breathalyzer on Facebook, especially at times like this. They'll go on there and they'll start posting anything they like, and then they'll get into an argument with somebody and it all just blows up. And then tomorrow you deal with the aftermath. So social media policy in your handbook. I know it's kind of late in the day for that, but just say you're not to discuss the company at any time on your personal social media. Gross misconduct, you could be dismissed. Simple as that. 2 lines. Yep. Planning a cash exit due to being lulled into committing bad or illegal practice. So when I'm talking about the layoff there and saying how it has to be done correctly, it has to be structured, it's not uncommon, and a lot of you will have heard this before, somebody comes up and says, oh, just finish me, just make me redundant, I'll be better off in the door. Okay, yeah, well, we're looking at around a layoff, so there's a P45. If they've got over 2 years service, it's unfair dismissal. There's no process followed. And they know that, and they'll do that to try and trip you up. So they'll come up trying to do the right thing or pretend to do the right thing. The reality is that they're thinking this is unfair, and I'll take you to court. Now, again, it sounds quite cynical, but this is what we deal with. Causing uncertainty with other members of staff as well. You know, the 1 in 10, the niggle, you know, the one who's having little conversations. I've just heard this, what do you think of this? And the reality was there wasn't even a conversation to be had. And all they do, they're just like stirring it up, and it just kind of muddies the waters for everybody else. Just keep an eye on it. That's what I'm saying. Keep an eye on things going missing. Social media policy, and just look at people thinking if they're coming to you asking something really kind of out there, like, oh, just finish me this afternoon, I'm fine. They're probably not. They're probably thinking it's a nailed-on unfair dismissal. Problem is now with mobile phones, you can go on ACAS, you can just Google, is this unfair? And there's a lot of no-win, no-fee solicitors will pop up saying, have you been unfairly dismissed? More so now because they're crying out for work. You tick the boxes, yeah, you've been unfairly dismissed, come and have a chat, sit down with them, say, yeah, I reckon I can get you 10 grand. They don't, but they'll tell you that. They'll write to you as the employer saying, right, he's going to claim 10 grand, you want to settle on 5? You've just had a load of money sent through from your bank because you've got an interest-free loan. You see how so these things kind of manipulate themselves, and it's the easiest route to market. And long-standing trust and commitment being quickly eroded. You know, money makes the world go around. As soon as you take money out of people's pockets, as soon as you have to go home and tell the wives they're going to be laid off, or the wives have to tell their husbands they're out of a job, you know, any goodwill that you've built up tends to just dissipate very quickly. And that can be long-standing friendships. I've seen brothers fall out over business money. You know, just be aware of that as well.